So before you watch the video, like it. And sub, but who cares? This is my review of AEW Dynamite for the May 8th show. Let's begin. So yeah, this show really exposes what's wrong with AEW, particularly Dynamite. Because as the A show, you would think that you'd be getting the top stars of the company, or you would have all of the major storylines progressed. But there was no Will Ospreay on this show. There was no Undisputed Kingdom. And there was no Jon Moxley versus Konosuke Takeshita. Yes, they were in Noah at the All Together show, but you featured this on TV. Like, give us an update on that show. It also promotes your ally if you just showed footage of the joint Japanese Wrestling Alliance show. And yeah, I'll criticize the segments that didn't need to be here later on in the review. So yeah, for the first match, it's Orange versus Trent. So it's a bit too early to have this since this is a grudge match, or most accurately a fight, and they're like giving it away on free TV. AEW never do this. I'm of the belief that the two wrestlers involved in a feud should never like have a singles match with each other until the pay-per-view where it's all settled, since it makes the heel, particularly, look like a secondary character over what's happening with Orange and Don Callis. It would elevate Trent if you would treat him like one of your main stars, hold the match until the pay-per-view, and then just like build him up. Build Trent up by having him beat people so that at least people would think that Trent has a chance against Orange. And honestly, I think Trent should win. But yeah, you just beat him here. The blow is lessened by having the win be through a flash pin. So yeah, the match is more of a fight. It goes all over the place, taking a lot of liberties with the count-out rule, and I like that they don't go for pins. They're just out to destroy each other. The action of the match is really, really good. There is a controversial spot where Trent pile drivers Orange 3 times, and this doesn't seem to finish Orange up compared to like a single exposed turnbuckle shot. So yeah, I agree that the pile drivers, the triple pile driver, was a bit excessive. That should be like just a barely leg to the rope break situation instead of like a kick out. But they weren't going for pins. They were trying to beat each other up. Trent did not try to pin Orange after that knee strike. But as for the finish, it's like perfect for this match. It's non-definitive. You could argue that the shock from the turnbuckle hit combined with the roll-up, which did most of the job, won the match for Orange. Basically, he stole one. The dude cheated, which is not characteristic for a babyface. But yeah, Trent gets his heat back, pile drivers Orange on the steel steps, and justifying one more match. Intrigue is built when Orange sides with Callis once again. But man, Trent needs to win something before the pay-per-view when he inevitably loses against Orange. Or have him beat Orange. That's like my thing. If you're gonna effectively retire Chuck Taylor from the promotion, or like from wrestling in general, forever, just have Trent win. Like, it's time to push Trent Beretta. It's time to raise up one of the originals. So after this is the Elite in the car where they park. So the Elite are like overly presenting themselves in everything in AEW now. They're in the opening, and they have small segments like this, which aren't really needed, but it does get annoying and oddly entertaining. This is a nice expansion to like the old Evolution segments where they just like walk together. It's nice that there's like an unaware sort of hamming it up comedic thing going on here. So yeah, I love the Elite. So after this is the Jack Perry promo where there's definite improvement. He doesn't sound vanilla anymore. A lot more well-spoken, eloquent. It's a basic promo reinforcing what they've done and building up a match between Jack Perry and Kenny Omega. And speaking of Kenny Omega, we have his announcement. So first of all, I'd like to call out the medical setup. If this is truly an ER, it would be a lot noisier than this. But who knows? It's America. Since his boss is a billionaire, he might be staying in like one of those high-end hospitals. Or this could just be like an improvised room within the stadium. Jag Stadium, whatever that's called. You have the oxygen, the suction machine, Sharps container. The bed honestly should have railings. It's awesome that the gloves are like mounted on the wall, but I think the Sharps container should as well, for more stability. But yeah, enough of that, let's get to what Kenny Omega said. So yeah, in his Kenny Omega way, he declares the formation of Team AEW. And judging by the pattern of how things usually work, usually the babyfaces lose at Anarchy in the Arena, so this has been happening for 2 years. It kind of makes things predictable, but as long as the matches are good, I'll be okay with it. But it's kind of special here with the Elite, since these guys are like a faction that's come to take over. They're like a final threat. So I'd like them to be in power for like more than 2 months. Like have it be 6 or like a year. And if they lose on Blood and Guts, what happens to them then? Like this is the most threatening that they'll be as like basically the showrunners of the company. And when power is taken from them and Tony Khan's back, I wonder how the dynamic will work. But yeah, that's assuming things will go as they always do every year. I'll just see how it goes. Like for me, Team AEW should fail until Kenny Omega returns, as well as Hangman Page. They need to be the one to defeat their brothers, basically. And now time to judge Team AEW. So yeah, the first two announced are FTR, of course. Makes sense, they're the natural opponents of the Young Bucks. And eventually they'll be the ones to take the titles. Or like that's the most predictable route. After that is Eddie Kingston, which yeah, he should definitely be on this team. No opposition here. He hasn't been to the other major company, so makes sense. And then you have Bryan Danielson, who's like Tony Khan's assistant and like a well-known AEW team player. I don't know about this pick, but I understand why they needed to make it, since he's a big name. Danielson can do no wrong, but also the other choices that make a lot much more sense than him are either injured or like just not on TV, or they're saving them up for Blood and Guts, or maybe like another team versus team stipulation match. So yeah, of course you could have Hangman Page, but they're holding him off. MJF is another one, but he's injured, and I think will be out for a longer time. Sammy Guevara is suspended and is not over enough, I think. And then Darby got hit by a bus. So yeah, and then Wardlow, of course, is still in the Undisputed Kingdom until MJF liberates him from the faction. And since the match being built up is Anarchy in the Arena, I wonder what theme song is going to loop. Okada has the best theme among all of them, so I want that to be looped, even if there's no words. Kingston's is nice too, but it's not for everyone. Danielson's song is just cringe for me. FTR's is a bit too generic, but you could have that as well. And yeah, we'll see what happens. And so after this is the Serena Deeb promo, and man, Serena can't play a heel. She did this in the feud with Thunder Rosa as well, where she cuts a promo that's designed to get her sympathy instead of like being an actual heel, you know, like threatening your babyface opponent. She's lacking a bit of like the awareness or the quick-wittedness to like make adjustments to what she says. She can cut a promo if it's scripted. Yeah, like she starts the promo by like appealing to the crowd, and then like there's a pause where it allows the crowd to take over. They chant for the Oilers, who I think should lose now since they ruined this segment, but it's on Serena Deeb. Delivery just wasn't heelish enough, it wasn't good. It made her sound like a sympathetic babyface, and Tony thankfully saves the segment with just a couple of words. It like gets the crowd on Tony's side. It ensures that Serena stays heel, but it also kind of buries the story. Like nothing is progressed after this. Tony just gets a nice burn. So how I would have done it, or like how I would have done it based on what they did here, was make Serena like a lot more entitled about it. Like make herself be a heel. Like she should have said that she deserved the title because of what she went through. Like people don't like that. People are not entitled to anything, and shit happens. It doesn't mean that you were injured or sick that you deserve the world. And that's how they should have approached what they were trying to do. So yeah, slightly below average segment here that progresses nothing. So yeah, after this is the Orange Cassidy segment, where Rocky Romero here is staying true to his word that he values championships more than his friends. Like Rocky here was being a piece of shit. Completely unsympathetic to Orange's plight, completely tone deaf in character, which I like. This is some nice depth here. Like, man, Chuck just got sidelined forever, and you're still Trent's friend? Like, he suggests that they go back together with Trent, even after everything. Rocky's on the verge of turning heel. Like, to me, he kind of is already. He's being a bad friend. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm all for like a Roppongi Vice reunion as heels, but is that really gonna elevate Trent? Does AEW want to elevate Trent? That's the question. It's either have Trent beat Orange or reunite him with Roppongi Vice. So yeah, after this is Mariah May versus Haley Cameron, and if you watched my short, you would already know my opinion about this. Similarly to the Rocky Romero match much later. I don't know why these two are on the card. Like Harley Cameron and Rocky Romero, popularity wise, like even within the fan base, are not Dynamite level talent. Rocky's good in the ring, but he's a Rampage guy. While Harley Cameron should be in Ring of Honor, honestly. She was a manager for QTV and now she's a wrestler? Like, this match could have been given to other people who are higher up in the card and have more relevant storylines. Or, like returning people. Maybe have Athena, who should not be in Ring of Honor anymore. Like, she's too talented for a brand that not everyone watches. Britt Baker, Shida, Riho, or, the TBS champion, Willow Nightingale. Like, build her up before she loses the title to Mercedes. Like, let her have a run. Like, what the fuck is this booking? On your main show, you have the women's champion's sidekick having a match against a manager of someone who's been released. And she's like serviceable in the ring. Like, she can kick, she can sell, and she can do the heel work, but not much else. Mariah May carried this match. Like, Sarai's the manager here. Like, she could have been in a match. Or you know what? Like, Penelope Ford would have been nice. The match itself was just okay. Mariah carries the match, Harley heals up the crowd, and basically that's it. Harley, I think, performed better than I expected. So yeah, this is TV undercard. Dynamite could have used the time better. And then I forgot to give the Orange match a rating, so that one is TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard. So after this is the Pac promo, where it's basically just a setup. Death Triangle versus the Bang Bang Gang. And it's okay. Like, Jay White can cut a promo. He cut off Pac. It just sets them up against each other. It's a fun, okay segment. And so after this is the Malachi promo to build up for the main event as well as the pay-per-view match that's inevitably about to come. So Malachi's goal is to turn Copeland to the dark side. Like, change him as a person, win or lose. But it would have made more sense if it's like bringing back the old Evil Edge. Like, his goal is to bring back the ultimate opportunist. Like, have him say that in a promo. And like, have Adam stew on it a bit. And in the Go Home show, have him say something to the effect of, he's older, he's learned from his mistakes, and have him mention Christian Cage. Since that's the end goal. Like, being tag champs with Christian. And to me, that's how you have him lose the TNT title. It may not be to Malachi, but you could have that be like the sort of excuse that Cope wasn't all in having the TNT title, that he's just there to win the tag titles with Christian Cage. But yeah, I don't think he's losing to Malachi. Cope's winning. He's gonna lose it to Roosh down the line. So after this is the Elite in Gorilla, right before Swerve segment. And I love this. It's like a dystopian 1984-ish sort of thing where the Elite are Big Brother. Like, they're in everything. But I think they should, like, push it further. Like, they should torment the other wrestlers they don't agree with. Like, the babyfaces should be miserable under the Elite. Like, when they win at the Anarchy in the Arena, like, that's what should be happening. Like, they should exert their power more instead of putting on the act that they're trying to be fair or, like, running the company better than Tony Khan. Have them abuse their power and then have that be their downfall. It doesn't have to be full Attitude Era. It doesn't have to, like, go those levels that are not acceptable for TV today, but they should make the babyfaces, like, suffer. Like, it should be like a crisis level event. So after this is Swerve versus the Moguls. So yeah, I like that the Bucks are making Swerve's life miserable, like, as champion, but it should go further than this. It should involve everyone, and this is a nice start, with Swerve being the world champion. So yeah, we've all seen what happened. Swerve brings in the Mogul embassy, just like I mentioned last week that he should have. And of course, they were going to turn against him because what babyface would have like killers in his faction? Like just have 3 other muscle-bound dudes who would like wipe the floor with Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus. Of course, he needs to be the underdog. Of course, they needed to God of War him. But they could have done this better. In fact, they could have done this against Samoa Joe. Like, have them go through hell against Samoa Joe and have them, like, start growing bitter to Swerve as they go through that. I like Brian Cage's excuse, but just add in a couple of more stuff. And have the Moguls actually be elevated after going up against Swerve. Like, have them be a legit threat now. But yeah, how you could have done this, how you could have made them a bigger threat, would have been to tear up a page from the movie Ready to Rumble. Like, we could have had this. We could have had the Mogul Embassy scare away Christian. Have this be like a small victory for Swerve. But since the Bucks are behind this, like since they're paying the Moguls, they could have made this hurt a lot more for Swerve. Like, have it during a match. Have it be Swerve, Tawaliona, and Bishop Khan against, like, Christian's family. And as they're about to win, the Moguls turn on Swerve, have it be a disqualification so Swerve doesn't have to take a pin, and then have them do, like, a 4-post massacre. Have them Jimmy King Swerve just like in the movie. Like, have Luchasaurus, Brian Cage, Toliona, and Bishop Khan be on 4 corners and then, like, do their dives. Watch Ready to Rumble. It's not a good movie, but it's like really fun. So yeah, with how they done it here, it's a bit too sudden. It's like it just happened. It's less impactful than what I described. But yeah, I guess I kind of like the decision to have Swerve be robbed of everything. Like, stack the odds against Swerve. But there should be a point as well where, since Swerve is the champion, he should start dominating people even as a babyface. Like, as a babyface, you don't need to be getting beaten up all the time, having the heel have his way with you in terms of, like, storyline. Yeah, like, at some point, Swerve's power level should reflect his champion status. So yeah, so just saying. It's his first pay-per-view cycle. It's his first real feud defense. They could get away with this one. So yeah, after this is the Willow Nightingale promo where there should have been a match. Like, honestly, if you're not going to have any of those women I mentioned earlier, you should have had a match with Willow against anyone. Build her up, because Willow is like one of the highest potential female wrestlers you have in that company. Because man, she's something on the mic. Very good promo, very intense. But honestly, you should have had a match plus a promo. So yeah, after this is Jay White versus Rocky Romero. So yeah, I've made it known that Rocky is not a Dynamite level star, but the match was really good. It was 8 minutes, it was as long as it needed to be, and it had a match dynamic that suits like Rocky's stature in the card against Jay White's stature. Like, Jay White is a main event level talent. He should be going for the higher titles, but he kind of already did, and I like that he's trying to elevate the Guns, the Bang Bang Gang, and the Trios titles. I like how he carries the 3 belts with the bat. He's finally made holding 3 titles look cool, since sometimes it just looks silly when you have too many title belts. Like, 2 is max, but Jay makes holding 3 look cool as hell. So yeah, back to the match. 8 minutes is exactly how long this should have been. The dynamic is Rocky Romero gets dominated for most of the match. He gets a burst of energy, and then Jay snuffs it out. Basically, that's it. Jay keeps the match grounded. He wrestles just like what he's described to be, like a defensive wrestler, a counter guy. I like the spot where he holds up Rocky in this sort of like standing chancery position. I like the counterfest that happens. And I like the finish, which is a Bloody Sunday to a Blade Runner for the win. Like, not every finish should be an out-of-nowhere Blade Runner. So yeah, after this, the Bang Bang Gang, as heels, attack Rocky Romero. Pac goes out for the save. It's all just okay. I guess it makes Pac look stronger since he made all of the Bang Bang Gang run away. Like, it's 1-on-3. The Lucha Brothers aren't there. Just kick his ass. But yeah, I think Death Triangle's actually gonna win this. Like, it's gonna free Jay up from the titles, but I don't like that it doesn't free Pac up to challenge for the other singles titles. Like, Pac for me is an upper mid-carder who can go up to being a main eventer. They just have him lose all the time. So yeah, have them have a run with the trios titles, and then we'll see what happens when they lose it. So yeah, after this is the Samoa Joe vignette. And as usual, Samoa Joe. Poetic, eloquent, well-spoken promo. On top of like a well-made montage. But what's Joe doing? Like, why even feature him on Dynamite if he doesn't have like a storyline going on for him? Like, yes, he's the former champion, but what is he exactly doing? This should have been on Collision. So yeah, after this is the squash match of the episode. You have the learning tree against a couple of jobbers. And I like the dynamic between Big Bill and Jericho. It's a fun squash match. Big Bill can move, but I miss like the taunts that he does, especially the ones against Orange. Yeah, it's okay, and I like the learning tree character. It's like slowly winning me over. I like that Jericho is unaware of the fan reaction and that he's sort of dumb. But yeah, Chris Jericho's characters haven't been the smartest, like since ever. He makes up for it in like charisma and like evil. But yeah, the only thing sort of bringing this character down is the FTW title. It's a floating title that doesn't even get defended a whole lot. It looks bad, and it's just bloat that should be retired. So yeah, that's my only criticism of that. Get rid of the FTW title immediately, please. And so after that, finally is the main event match between Adam Copeland and Brody King. And this match was the 4-star and above required to be on the card for a Dynamite to be good. This match had a foregone conclusion. It's basically a match against a heel henchman, but goddamn, it's really good. And so much better than the match against Buddy. Like, Buddy's a smaller dude, but they made this one a lot more dynamic. They had less snaps here than you would expect. Like, I thought, since we have two big dudes here, like comparatively, like compared to the other members of the AEW roster, Cope and Brody are like two of the biggest dudes in the company, and they don't take naps. It's awesome. Brody, of course, dominates the start. Cope fights back, and then we have an evenly matched war until the end. And everything I love in matches is here. The weight work, having Brody's weight play a factor in the match, as well as the injured limb working, which in this case is Cope's neck. So top spots of the match, I have like a lot. 2 honorable mentions. We have the Death Valley Driver on the apron, the fireman carry by Cope, which is countered due to Brody's weight, hence the weight working. And then another honorable mention is, like, you know that hanging sleeper that King does to Darby? He tries to do it to Cope, but Cope counters. Of course they're not going to do it. It's going to injure Cope's neck. Of course. Cope pulls him down. It's countered. Number 3 is the crossface with the chair bar. Number 2 is the spear that gets countered to a pile driver by Brody. And then number 1 is, of course, the spear to Brody on the apron, leading to both of them falling and breaking through the table down below. Which then leads to the finish, where the time taken to get back in the ring is justified because of the damage taken. Spear by Cope, 1, 2, 3, he wins. Pay-per-view undercard, 2 pay-per-view main event level match. This is underrated on cage match. It is really good. And of course, like the beastie is, King just like gets right back up from like the finishing spear that led to the pin, and then he beats on Cope. Why is this guy like an underling of Malachi Black if he's like this strong? Like, for me, this was a bit too much. King should have stayed down after that second spear, no matter how much of a monster he is. King was beaten, and you have to give Copeland like the satisfaction of celebrating the win. Like, instead, I think Buddy or Malachi should have come in, and then like Kyle O'Reilly comes in for the save. But if you don't think about it really, having Kyle and Cope have to team up together to take out like Brody King by himself after like a grueling match, after losing a grueling match, it's like pretty cool. It's cool, but it doesn't quite make sense. So yeah, after this is the Mercedes promo. That's actually really good. She is like a full heel now, which suits her very much. And she basically cuts the same promo that Serena did, but much better, less awkward, and then it goes to the direction that I described. Have her be entitled. Have her take credit for Willow's success. Like, this is what Serena should have done. And because Mercedes did it here, I think this automatically becomes the main women's feud for me. Like, if Serena only cut that promo better, that would have been like, that would have stayed on top, but I don't know. Of course, Mercedes' star power is there, but the story and what they're fighting for is a lot more defined and a lot more concrete here. And then after that is the main event segment, which is revealing the last two members of Team AEW. Okay, so to end the night on a high, this was the right move to like show all of them right away. I would have had the reveal be done next week, at least for Danielson. I would have had the Elite win a 4v3 this time, but this was cool too. It ends in a beatdown. As for the promo, as for the Elite side of things, they don't have a solid mic guy. Like, Matt Jackson is the best on the mic out of all of them. Nick, not so much after hearing what he has to say here. And Okada needs to learn how to speak English more. But yeah, as the main heel faction, they should have a better mouthpiece. Or better yet, Okada should speed things up and then be that guy for the Elite. Because when the Elite had Kenny, you had him. Very good talker, very good promo guy in Kenny Omega. But for this faction, someone needs to step up, or you need to bring someone else in. Hangman can be that guy, but he was suspended, right? So he has to be like opposed to the Elite. So yeah. Underwhelming first hour, but I think the second hour more than made up for it, and it's like a slightly above average show. So yeah, that's my review. Thanks for watching.